started.
It's good stuff.
I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask for the roll call.
Lynn Harden.
Here.
Bob Hammock.
Present.
Justin Ellis.
Here.
Phil Horning.
Here.
Laura Massonoff.
Here.
Ruth Fields.
Here.
Jay Means.
Present.
John Milliken.
Present.
Thank you, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence by Jay Means.
Stand with me, if you would. Salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in silence, a moment of silence where you meditate, pray, or do as you wish. Thank you. You may be seated.
We have item 2.01 is to adopt the agenda, and we know we're going to pull item 10.03. They've asked to pull that for our next meeting for more information. And Craig, would you read the corrected information on 10.13?
Item 10.13 tonight, the last sentence states that the original contract was $63,799.68, and the new amount would be $72,101.07. However, the new amount should be listed as $79,302.82. We would like to correct this scrivener's error prior to adopting the agenda.
Say that one more time. So we're going to adopt this agenda with this present, with correction?
Yes, there was actually an addition mistake on your.
And that's the only item to be pulled or amended?
We're pulling 10.03
Or amending?
and we're correcting 10.13.
Craig, for my record again, what was the final figure, 79?
The correct amount is $79,302.80.
And it references the total amount that's spent with the contractor, not what's for approval tonight.
Right. So it was just an addition error on your form. So we have
Move approval based on those corrections.
we have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Please cast your vote.
Having received 8 aye votes, 0 nay votes, motion carries as made.
Thank you. And we'll ask for Dave Lopez to give us the superintendent's update.
Sure, just have a few items. The first is to ask Doug Braxton if he'll work his video magic yet again for us to share some couple of items visually. The first is regarding, as I think the board is aware, we have a new chef for the Children's Nutrition Services, and that's Robin Alberto. And she has had a Chef de Schools event that evidently these students have found very engaging, not just from the standpoint of getting the sample different recipes, but that they are healthy as well as good tasting. And so, anyway, it's just a good way to introduce to you our chef, who is focused on food that tastes good, but also is good for our children. And so if we subscribe to the notion that, as Napoleon did, that armies march on their stomachs, I think our kids learn on their stomachs. So we're glad that we have a chef to provide that service. And that she'll be doing that continuously at different locations to get the students involved and help them understand the nutrition side. The next one to share with you is that 10 years happened quickly. Devin has been a partner with Mark Twain Elementary, and Mr. Horning was at this celebration as well too, where a lot of the original tutors are still tutoring our students there 10 years later. So it was a good way to recognize that milestone, fun time to be around the kids, and a fun time to be able to say thank you to the tutors from Devon, and for the partnership that when you think back 10 years, here's one way to put it. So I'm thinking, okay, saw Kevin Durant last night have a well of a game. Well, Kevin Durant 10 years ago was a 15-year-old playing at National Christian Academy. So that gives you a feel for what happens in 10 years. And so for Devin to be a partner with Mark Twain for that long is something we're grateful for, and sets a high standard for all of the many corporate and community partners we have. The next item, just two left, is that our bond rating, I think the board is informed, but also wanted to underscore to the public that bond ratings for this district were affirmed by the two prominent ratings agencies, both Moody's, which retained our AA2 rating, and Standard & Poor's, which affirmed our AA rating, which is significant because it helps us save money when we issue bonds, as we did today. In fact, Scott Randall will be giving you a report on that bond sale shortly. But those ratings are as good as any school district in the state of Oklahoma. And when we visited both of the agencies as they were trying to get more background on the financial status of the district, it was clear that they have an upbeat assessment of how finances are managed here. So I just wanted to say thank you to the board for y'all's leadership over the years on giving that attention, and then to our finance department led by Scott Randall, because this is important flexibility that not only saves us money when we issue bonds, but frankly gives us some flexibility as we start to address the tougher issues of academic performance. So just want to commend everybody involved, and that's good news that sometimes is overlooked in the education setting, but in my old world in business, that'd be something you give somebody a promotion on, or at least a good bonus. The last item I have is something I discussed before with the board, and that's regarding the 6th grade class at Classen School of Advanced Studies. In my previous report to you, my thought was that it might require some board action. However, I've been counseled that that's not necessary because we're not changing anything. At least I'm not bringing a recommendation to you to change anything. Instead, to keep the 6th grade at Classen. And there's several reasons as I went through it, and some of these I shared with you previously. One is that it'd be relatively late notice for the students, for the parents and teachers and staff involved, because they start accepting applications next month. The second one was that in looking at our research, there was no board action taken previously regarding a return of 6th grade to the elementary schools, and certainly not to the ones that are affected. The other one is that there's a collateral effect that I mentioned to you, both to Belle Isle and to Wilson Elementary. And when you look at the collection of the 3 schools that would be affected if we were to take 6th grade away from Classen, those are 3 of our very best performers, and I didn't think a distraction or a disruption would be wise to our A schools. The last one is one that will give you more information here as the data gets finalized, but it's not likely that we're going to anytime soon be able to get all 6th grades at elementary schools because of the overcrowding instances we have at so many of the schools, particularly on the south side. So these won't be the only, or Classen won't be the only middle school or high school that will retain the 6th grade. It's likely we're going to have to retain some 6th grades outside of elementary schools so that they have additional space for us now having growing enrollment as well as having all-day pre-K and all-day kindergarten, which puts a stress on those facilities. All for the right reasons. I'm glad we're growing. I'm glad that we're providing additional instruction. But I just wanted to make it clear for the board as well as for our patrons and mostly for the students that there's not a change at Classen. And but I appreciate everybody's patience. We've had an opportunity to research this, but wanted to make that clear to the public at this point. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And we're moving on to 3.02.
Let me ask a question or two.
Sure.
I understand the decision on Classen. What about Belle Isle?
Well, Belle Isle would be affected if Classen, all lumping down, would then affect Belle Isle, and so no, there'd be no changes there either. So
And they have a 6th grade currently.
That's correct. But they would then be impacted by those who might be returning.
And then on the admissions process at Classen, we had some disappointing events around that. And I would hope that there will be someone from the central office who is working with Classen and its new leadership regarding those admissions so that the number of out-of-district students going into Classen is reduced, if not eliminated. And one of the things I recall is that the admissions process, and it seemed to me, this is on admissions now, it's not the district, but it seemed to me that the admissions process went too deep into the faculty. I was surprised that the faculty had anything to say about who was admitted. That seemed to me to be an administrative matter. And so that's something that if we do have a central office representative working with the school, that our representative should be watching for. Those teachers have plenty to do without getting involved in the admissions. At least that's what I say, that's my view.
Great, yeah, I'm not familiar with, I know there was a discussion last spring that came up before the board, but I'll get with Cindy and with Tammy and ask them to start to understand the process fit well for us, as well as what we do going forward, and keep you all advised.
And Sandra Park was on top of that last time.
Yeah, I understand that she may have intervened in this one, but it really called to Cindy and to Tammy as the director of secondary right now, I think, and so I just we'll probably look to get some guidance. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 702. This is a motion to approve the softball and baseball field at Capitol Hill High School, and this is funded by Fields and Future, so there's not an actual any expense to us. Is
The bride's prepared to talk about it.
Yes.
Okay.
It's great to see you all here out
Well,
tonight on this bad weather.
And we'd like to welcome Rod McKinley, our new head of HR, so we're glad to have you here.
Well, this is a great project, Fields and Futures, and so the new one we have coming forward, we're seeking approval tonight, and like you said, the great thing, it's no funds from the district. So we get to the next slide. This is what a completed project at Webster Middle School. You can see the before pictures, and not very pleasant. But then we'll go to see what it looks like afterwards, and you see the participation there from the kids and how great the fields look. And there's some more. And then this right here is just from the softball and the football that shows the increased participation because of the quality of the fields, and we're still waiting for the spring season for the other sports to come up. And this is where Capitol Hill is right now. This is pretty much a blank slate that needs a lot of work. And here's what we're proposing to do, put some very quality fields in there that our children can enjoy for a long period of time. And here's the total cost, and we have great partners with Fields and Futures that's going to cover this, and we look forward to getting this done.
Rod, may I ask, Fields and Futures isn't the only one funding this, or are they? Are there other donors to Fields and Futures that are participating? And are those donors acknowledged, or are they not, or are they silent donors?
No, they are acknowledged.
Okay.
We do have some silent donors also.
Okay, but if anyone wanted to look at who was contributing to Fields and Futures beyond McLaughlin and that group, they could find that out.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. Well, this is, what a gift for our district to have this kind of participation from the outside and a group that cares about fields and our futures. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Does
you.
anyone else have any questions of Rod? Thank you. No, I don't think, well, I guess it does. So do we have a motion to approve this? Thank you.
Nope, I'm sorry. This is for tonight, this is just an information item.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
It says here that it says that we need to approve this item. No?
Well, the type says information agenda item, action will be requested at the next meeting. And then
Okay.
recommended action, it says motion to approve. That is a little confusing.
Okay.
Because that's what the motion for.
But right, the title
So
is
we-
information agenda item, action will be requested at the next meeting.
Okay, thank
Gotcha.
you.
Thank you for the
Thanks.
clarification.
Okay, there's not a budget or treasurer's report, so we're on to public comments, and tonight there are no public comments. So we'll go on to 601, and this is to take action with respect to the resolution and the bonds of $60 million, and Scott Randall.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present a $60 million bond sale. It's my honor to be here and have the opportunity to do that. Dave took a little bit of the thunder out in terms of my discussion, in terms of just our bond rating. You should have in front of you a spreadsheet that just shows historically what the district has done over the last 14 sales, the amount of those sales, and also what our bond rating has been over that period of time. So with both with Moody's and with S&P, we have been able to upgrade our bond rating twice, and basically just kind of supporting his reference in terms of that. That is our ability as a school district to be able to kind of return something to the taxpayer in the form of keeping their taxes or their property taxes lower. So it does have a direct benefit to them. As far as the $60 million is concerned, we did a presentation roughly 45 days ago. Just as a reminder, this is to build 16 gymnasiums. It's also going to be for capital improvements in the area of HVAC, or heating and cooling systems, roofing, plumbing, electrical, etc. So as far as the use of the $60 million, that's what we're looking at doing. And certainly we're already doing work in terms of trying to assess the ability of the district to incorporate safe rooms into those gymnasiums as they're built. So we'll know more about that in the very near future. As far as the bids are concerned, the district received 3 bids. That's really a significant number for us, even though 3 doesn't sound like a whole lot in terms of just actually receiving bids for a sale of this size. That is a significant number. We had years that only had 1 bid. So that again is just a good indication or good reflection upon the district as far as where we stand financially. I'm a little bit remiss. I should have introduced John Waldo with Oppenheim is here. That's our bond consultant. Also with Oppenheim is Chris Gander, sitting over here to our right. And then behind John is Gary Bush, who serves as our bond counsel. So the legal documents that you see and a lot of the work in terms of the sale itself, that's where we're interacting with these individuals. So if you have any questions about the bids, about the firms, legal questions, we can certainly bring them to the mic. The 3 bids that we received, Bank of America or Merrill Lynch, is a 1.62%. I've rounded that. You actually have that extended out in front of you in the documents. That was the low bid, and who we are recommending that we approve. Hutchison, Shockey, and Early was at 1.73, and Hyper Jaffrey was at 1.93. So we are making a recommendation that you approve the resolution selling the bonds to Bank of America Merrill Lynch.
So moved.
Now,
Second.
okay.
Yes, go ahead, Jay.
So exactly, just refresh my memory on what we're going to spend this money on.
It's going to be for 16 gymnasiums at the elementary schools. And then the additional funds will be used to upgrade, replace our HVAC systems. It'll also be used for roofing purposes to primarily replace roofs. And then also in the area of plumbing, electrical, and also for fencing at our schools.
No buses.
This is, we had, as part of this bond authorization, we actually had a transportation resolution. We have sold all the bonds related to transportation. This particular resolution does not include anything for transportation.
Okay, so refresh my memory on state law. 80% of this has to go to that. Is there 20% discretionary anywhere?
85 has to go towards that.
Okay, so we have 15% discretionary. Where is that discretionary going to go?
It would still be used in the area of construction or capital improvements, but I'll actually defer to our legal counsel on that just to make sure I don't misstate something.
This is very difficult to talk about because we voted $230-some million in bonds, many of which are for facilities. we designated what all of those dollars would be used for in the election proceedings. There were many projects. When you designate a project, no matter what it is, for example, if you say $13 million for roofs on all of the school buildings, you have to spend all of that $13 million if we need that for roofs.
I understand the process. I understand how this works, and the reason why I'm asking this question is because I have constituents who get upset when we spend 85% on what we're supposed to, and they get upset about that other 15% that's discretionary. Now, I know how this game's played, so that's why I'm asking.
The rule is, though, if we have $100,000 in here for a gymnasium improvement at Harding, $100,000 has to be spent on that gymnasium unless the project can be completed for less than that.
So just specifically, where is this 15%? Is there any contingency or any plans by administration to spend that 15% discretionary somewhere other than those areas we talked about?
We don't have the 15% yet.
Yeah, we don't have the 15%.
And you may not have it.
No, I understand that too, but I'm just keeping my left eye on it because, you know, I've got a district to represent as well, and I just want to make sure that if there's, and I'm going to tell this board right now, I'd like to see that 15% go to buses. You can say what you want to, we're in trouble on buses. We're 9 years on buses, or 7.
None of the dollars that we're talking about can go for buses, not a penny.
Okay.
We've got to have another issue for that. One of the things that I'd like to bring up and I was Phil at the last meeting or the meeting before, he also let me know that there are other schools. Moon has constantly come before us for the last year and a half or two about, at one point we were not going to keep them open, and so we did not use the MAPS money for that. It was promised by the previous administrators that they would find in this meeting that they would find money in order to take care of that issue, since we have decided that we're going to keep that school open. Phil, I don't know what the name of the other school is. Westwood, because I didn't know that we had more than one school that kind of the same scenario. And so with that being the case, I think that the district has a responsibility, and especially if we have decided to keep these schools open, to make sure that they get the appropriate care and also the facelift that they need as other schools in the district.
Well, we still owe.
No, and my last comment is, we made a commitment to put a safe room at Nichols Hills. So are we going to use that other 15% to put safe rooms in other areas of the district?
That safe room was privately funded. That has nothing to do.
I understand.